I invite you to turn to one another and greet the worth, dignity, and divinity of each one of you. Been out of the pulpit so long, I don't remember what we're doing next. Okay. Hi, I'm Bob Renjilian. I'm the minister here at the Unitarian Universalists of Transylvania County. It's good to see you. I'm here this week and next, and then you give me another couple of Sundays off you can peek in the window of the minister's office and see that I'm cleaning my desk, which is a significant project for someone like me who has a special function in life in which I cover all horizontal surfaces over time. I've done that for many different institutions, but clean it up. But I'm glad to be back in this place and around all of you, our special group of others, which I'll preach about today. There are a couple of announcements I want to share with you. One is Tara McDonald is running a Medicaid workshop at 2 o'clock over at the Jenkins Center. And this may be of particular interest to you or something that you know you have a neighbor or a friend who may be struggling with getting through the hoops of a system that is not always set up logically. We learned that through Helene, that if your trailer home was washed away by the flood, you now had trouble getting Medicaid because Medicaid is tied to the address you live in. Yeah, good governance, folks. Yay, safety net. Anyway, Tara is going to help people learn more, and so I hope you'll look into that if needed. Also, Wonderful Wednesday. This is the last Sunday to sign up at the counter for Wonderful Wednesday's dinner. You don't have to sign up to come here and Josh and Mallory and the other musicians come and play at 6:30. But at 5:30, if you're wanting to eat, it helps us to get a count, so we ask that you sign up. There is a sign-up sheet on the counter, or you can do it electronically through the link that was provided in the Friday news emails. I'd also like to say there is a sign-up sheet on the counter for the Mountain Retreat, which is coming up. It's formerly known as Columbus Day weekend, now Indigenous Peoples Day. Sunday night of that weekend, we start. The Asheville Unitarian Universalists will have cleared their rooms as they left at lunchtime, and then we will rush in just in time for dinner. And to Sunday night, all day Monday, which is a holiday, so we hope families with children might even come. And then Tuesday lunch, we're done. And we'll let you know as soon as the online registration is happening. As always, once registration is up and running, if you find it difficult to do online registration, we may be able to help you, or the phone really works well with the Mountain, so we could try that. I'd also like to mention, and this doesn't mean that you're applying, but you may know of nonprofits in the community. The UUTC endowment application is due September 30th. How many people have served on the endowment committee over the years, giving away tens of thousands of dollars over the years to institutions? So, you know, what is it funded in the past? The one that I always remember sticks in my mind is we helped fund for high schoolers who were interested in historically black colleges and universities to be able to do a field trip. It meant maybe doing something special that one of the organizations we support through our Share the Plate was able to do something above and beyond their regular budget. And so we have an endowment to help those institutions, and the applications, as I say, are due on the 30th of September. So if you know of an institution, you're saying, oh, you know, you've got a project you want. Did you know you could apply? It's not that we can fund a $10,000, $15,000 thing, but we can help provide some funds towards a good project. Those are just a few of the many things we get done around here or do in the community. Now I will ring the gong one more time and let its sound carry us into the beautiful music that Melissa will be playing for us to lead us into worship.
Good morning. It is so great to see your faces this morning. Oh, thank you. Please read with me our chalice lighting, words of Eric Hepburn. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love is our center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love endures.
Thank you. We have 2 notes that were left for us, and I also have a few things that I prepared for, or we're asked to prepare for today, for candles of joys and sorrows. Let's light a candle for safe travels for John Austin, along with daughter Kimberly and granddaughters Leah and Willow, as they tour Canada. And a candle of care for Don Odell. And Jackie, I'd like to have a candle for you and Dodie as well, and all that Dodie's going through health-wise. A candle for Jim and Susan Null, who are celebrating their birthdays and the joy of having their daughters with them. Hello. And a prayer for the end of all wars. Heather asked for a candle of care for her dad, Glenn Williams, who is in the hospital with his COPD. And let's light one more candle for those things not yet shared, held in the hearts of folks right here in this room, those of you who are watching online. Spirit of love and life, the glow of these candles reaches deep into our hearts. May we live up to our being religious in this world with one another, to bring peace into this world, to lift up those celebrating joys in their lives, and to reach out with our hearts and hands to those who are suffering and need care. Blessed be, amen.
Our opening words are by John Higgins. And it's titled, "We Are Unitarian Universalist." It's hard to get that out, isn't it? Welcome to this place. This is a home where no revealed truths are promoted and no scripture or human being accepted as infallible. This is a place for searching for truth. But we are believers. We believe in intellectual freedom. We believe in justice. We believe in compassion and concern for each other and the whole world. We believe in commitment to those ideas which make us caring and active in the struggles for human dignity. We are Unitarian Universalists. Our opening hymn is number 135, "How Happy Are They?" Wonder who they is. I think it's maybe us, I'm not sure. If you're looking in a hymnal, the number is 135.
Good morning. For the Wisdom for All Ages today, I have what I think is probably the most profound book that we have ever used so far. The Sneetches by Dr. Seuss. And this book is all about how we treat each other, how we divide or learn to not divide ourselves into our own little tribes. Now, the star-bellied Sneetches had bellies with stars, and the plain-bellied Sneetches had none upon theirs. Those stars weren't so big, they were really so small. You might think that such a thing wouldn't matter at all. But because they had stars, all the star-bellied Sneetches would brag, "We're the best kind of Sneetch on these beaches." With their snoots in the air, they'd sniff and they'd snort. Will have nothing to do with the plain-bellied sort. Whenever they met some, when out they were walking, they'd hike right on past them without even talking. And then the star-bellied children went out to play ball. Could a plain belly get in the game? Not at all. You only could play if your bellies had stars, and plain-bellied children had none upon theirs. And when the star-bellied Sneetches had Frankfurter roasts or picnics or parties or marshmallow toasts, they never invited the plain-bellied Sneetches. They left them out cold in the dark of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year. Then one day, it seems, while the plain-bellied Sneetches were moping and doping along on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, a stranger zipped up in the strangest of cars. "My friends," he announced in a voice clear and keen, "my name is Sylvester Monkey McBean, and I've heard of your troubles. I heard you're unhappy, but I can fix that. I'm the fix-em-up chappie. I come here to help you. I have what you need. My prices are low, and I work at great speed, and my work is 100% guaranteed." Then quickly Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very peculiar machine. He said, "You want stars like a star-bellied Sneetch? My friends, you can have them for $3 each. Just pay me your money and hop on board." So they clambered inside, and the great machine roared. It conked and it bonked and it jerked and it burked and it bopped them about, but the thing really worked. When the plain-bellied Sneetches popped out, they had stars. They actually did. They had stars upon theirs. Then they yelled to the ones who had stars at the start, "We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart. We're all just the same. Now, you snooty old smarties, now we can come to your Frankfurter parties." "Good grief," groaned the ones who had stars at the first. "We're still the best Sneetches, and they are the worst. But now, how in the world will we know," they all frowned, "if which kind is what, or the other way round?" Then, of course, up came McBean with a sly little wink, and he said, "Things are not as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who? That's perfectly true. But come, my friends, do you know what I'll do? I'll make you again the best beaches, the Sneetches on beaches, and all it will cost you is $10 eaches." "Belly stars are no longer in style," said McBean. "What you need is a trip through my star-off machine. This wondrous contraption will take off your stars so you won't look like Sneetches who have them on theirs." And that handy machine worked very precisely, removed all the stars from their tummies quite nicely. Then with snoots in the air, they paraded about, they opened their beaks, and they let out a shout. "We know who is who, now there is no doubt. Best kind of Sneetches are Sneetches without." Then, of course, those with stars got all frightfully mad. To be wearing a star now was frightfully bad. Then, of course, old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them into his star-off machine. Then, of course, from then on, as you probably guessed, things got into a horrible mess. All the rest of the day, on those wild screaming beaches, the fix-em-up chappie kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again. Though the machine they raced round and about again. changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying money, they kept running through, until neither the plane nor the starbellies knew whether this one was that one, or that one was this one, or which one was what one, or what one was who. Then, when every last cent of their money was spent, the fix-em-up chappie packed up and he went. He laughed as he drove in his car up the beach. They never will learn. No, you can't teach a sneetch. But McBean was quite wrong. I'm quite happy to say that the Sneetches got really quite smart on that day. That day they decided that Sneetches are Sneetches, and no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day all the Sneetches forgot about stars and whether they had one or not upon theirs. So today, as we talk about how people are sometimes othered into the group that nobody wants, we all are the same underneath, and let's forget what's on the outside, but look to the person underneath. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I believe that was published in 1960. It's been out and around for a while. Doesn't mean anybody paid attention to it. I said in the beginning that we have an endowment. We've set aside money to help institutions in the community, and we did. And the generosity of this congregation helped establish the monies that earn interest and help provide money out to groups who apply and win their grant application. We also every week go through the opportunity, not like Mr. McMonkey. I'm not up here saying this week pay me $3 to be in the in crowd and next week pay me 10, but we would love to have your donations rolling into this place, that we might in fact know that we are the folks who love the folks who might otherwise be othered in this community. And we have a banner out front that says we're standing with immigrants, and we have opportunities for doing things as a community to live up to what we say our values are. Right now is the spiritual moment in which you can give. Today's special offering, well, if you put it in the envelope and not just in the basket comes to us and the envelope goes to our voted in special organization for contributions, El Centro. El Centro's purpose is to create a bridge between the Spanish and English-speaking people in a community in which justice and equality are highly valued. El Centro supports literacy and English language acquisition for school-age children. And now, as our ushers come and pass the baskets, may we enjoy the music presented by Melissa. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Lisa. What's given in love, we receive with great joy. Thank you. I invite you into a moment of prayer and meditation in whatever ways, whether you feel your particular variety of praying or not is acknowledged, may I say, our prayers can be lifted to whom it may concern. He, she, they, or it may be much as it was in a congregation I attended as a young adult where they had a great grand marble altar and backdrop with an empty niche. And that was designed empty so that you could place in your imagination the symbol that you carry with you to place into that niche, or if you were atheist, it was already conveniently empty. But the reality is there is some way in which we all need some kind of grounding. And this is just one of those moments. Spirit of love and life, we are gathered here today, are walking through a world in which we would like to be seen and heard. We know sometimes it is difficult to be us. The times that are tiring in which we wear a mask or go along with laughing at jokes that are not very funny and are in fact insulting to us or others. To get along, to go along, to somehow make it through another day, a week, whatever it is we need to do to grin and say the customer is always right when we know they're not, or the boss is wrong, or that group that sits near us and chats incessantly about what makes them better than anyone else. Spirit of love and life, may we remember the words of our opening hymn that is somewhat along the old wisdom from biblical language that suggested it would be the meek who inherited the earth, and that there are a whole bunch of us whose existence does not depend on the rise and the fall of any particular politics, that we just keep going about life. And we find our friends. Spirit of love and life, may we be seen, may we be heard, may we reach out to others. May we sit in the cafeteria with the person who has no one near them. May we find the ways in which to say a kind word to a person who is being devastated by their exclusion from the circles of inclusion. May we, in fact, be what we wish we could be. Someone who recognizes the inherent worth and dignity of each person, the supreme worth of every human personality. In whatever ways we follow our spiritual path, may we, in this moment, hold in the silence these prayers, the prayers of our hearts and the meditations of our minds. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, we say, Amen. Blessed be.
Morning.
Take it.
Oh, that's all I got.
What were you going to say?
Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
I thought I did say that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
This is a song by a wonderful folk singer named Carrie Newcomer.
Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is room at the table for everyone.
This is where it all begins. This is how we gather in.
There is room at the table for everyone. Oh, too long we have wandered, burdened and undone. But there is room at the table for everyone.
This is how it all begins. Let us sing the new world in.
There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share.
Come on, pull up a chair.
There is room at the table for everyone. No matter who you are,
No matter where you're from,
there is room at the table for everyone. Here and now we can be the beloved community. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share.
come on, pull up a chair.
There is room at the table for everyone. Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is room at the table for everyone. This is where it all begins. This is how we gather in. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room at the table for everyone.
Thank you, John and James. Let's see, I'm going to find the right page. 12. Page 12. I have a meditation manual. It's my reading. Skinner House Books puts out meditation manuals, thin little things. Make great gifts to yourself or to somebody you like. And different ministers have written in them. Like Gene Rowe had something in a meditation manual, and I never have, but they're short little pieces that might be able to start your day off in a new way. And this one is called A Temporary State of Grace, again by Skinner House Books, which is under the auspices of the Unitarian Universalist Association. This one's from 1997, so back before the turn of the century. David Blanchard wrote this: other than what? Not too long ago, I was signing in at a local hospital when I noticed something that had escaped me before. While checking to see if the parishioner I had come to visit had been transferred to another room, I saw that in the clergy register, she had been transferred to another denomination called Other. I can think of 3 good reasons why the hospital should move us out to the margins of otherdom. For one, there are 21 letters in our merged Unitarian Universalist name. Other is short, with only 5. Then there is the fact that in numbers we account for something less than an asterisk of the total population. When you put all us others together, we account for something, perhaps even majority. Last, though we religious liberals are sometimes loath to admit it, we often find some degree of comfort in our obscurity. You know, if you were properly progressive and open-minded, you'd know who we were, and if you didn't, well, then we're not so sure you belong here. In the 19th century, the liberal Christians in the Congregational Church adopted as their own the pejorative name given to them by the Orthodox. They accepted and became organized around the name Unitarian. And during my hospital visit, my parishioner and I laughed a bit about the possibilities should our congregation become known as the First Other Church. A good graphic artist could easily fashion a chalice design inside the O for our logo. People who heard our new name would likely be more curious than confused. The modest 2 syllables of other would certainly be easier than the 10 we currently use. We could collectively save much breath. I personally think that the people who fashioned the merger of 1961 could have made matters much simpler had they found a shorter and more meaningful name for the new association of congregations. But for reasons that probably made sense at the time, they didn't. In the big picture, this is not a problem. What we are about as a religious movement is far more important than what we are called. But there is some level at which I am not comfortable being the minister of an other religion. Other than what? That we are different from any orthodox expressions of faith, I can accept and affirm. But the notion that we others, be we Unitarian Universalists, Baha'is, Muslims, Friends, etc., are less than, diminished, marginalized because of our differences or differentness is something I don't accept. We are an alternative path for spiritual understanding and religious expression. We're not an alternative to those grounding endeavors. Our work together is finding ways to extend the understanding and practice of liberal religion in our own lives, in the lives of our communities, and maybe even the lives of those who decide who's a who and who's an other. So I'm preaching a bit on other, being othered, the sense that we're the in crowd and you're not. The real piece of, well, from childhood, at least from teenhood, the fear of missing out. What if we're othered? Then maybe we're not included. What if what's really going on is going on in a different place than where we are? Now, there's a joke out there that's been told, and we fill in a different religion from time to time, and that is that some people come line up at the gates, the pearly gates to heaven, and St. Peter's checking them off. Yep, you can come in, you can come in, you can come in. And then St. Peter says, but, walk very quietly past the first door. We don't want them to hear you. And people are, why? What's wrong with those people? Oh, there's nothing wrong with those people. They're all, I'll fill in just Lutherans, for example. They're all Lutherans, or they're all Baptists, or they're whatever room that it's filled with, and they think they're the only ones here. Unitarian Universalists enjoy a joke like that because we are somewhat along the lines of feeling as if, wow, we believe, probably because we even chose a long name, Unitarian Universalist, named after two heresies, because the Orthodox folks said, well, you're Unitarians, and we said, well, no, we're just, really great religious people. No, you're Unitarians. Well, okay, so we're Unitarians. And the other folks were told, well, you're Universalists. Isn't that terrible? You're Universalists. And we decided, I don't know, maybe along the lines of Nathaniel Hawthorne's Scarlet Letter, we were going to be labeled and walk around with a big scarlet UU on our shirts, and people would say, oh, they're UUs. Ooh. But then after a while, people started saying, well, that's kind of cool. They get a logo, a UU logo on their shirts. And we decided, yeah, we are Unitarian Universalists, even though we don't have any particular creed saying you have to believe either that there's only one God, which is what Unitarianism means, and how that ended up being a heresy is something you got to go back to like 300 AD to figure out. And the Universalist side that everybody was going to go to heaven. And why is that a heresy? Well, it wasn't for at least 500 years in the march of the Christian church, but it got voted in as a heresy at some point. So, and then voted back in, and then voted back out again. So anyway, we carry these two names around, and we mostly just sound like we're stuttering. We're UUs. We're UUs. What are you? I'm a UU. Are you a UU too? You can write that with letters. Are you a UU too? There you go. You can do that. So, yeah, or why are you UU? Is the question we all fear, because we then have to think up our answer to everybody about why we are Unitarian Universalist. It's not too bad. It really isn't too bad. There's a hymn in our new online hymn book that I liked, and I wanted to use it, but I realized it was just a little too hard to do without the choir. So we'll wait and we'll introduce it when the choir's here. We've got another new hymn that none of us know at the end of the service today. We can sing that one. It's a little easier, except that it was written with a metronome marking of 156 metronome, beats, whatever. It's really fast. And so I asked Melissa not to play it at 156. So we'll do it better. But anyway, this one that we are not singing is called The Power of the Flower Garden. Every bloom is different. That's the power of the flower garden. Countless points of view. And that's the beauty of us all. Roses dwell with lilies, violets do the same. We can grow together when our gardens we maintain. We all need the sunlight. We all need the rain. We define our purpose when each other we sustain. Now that's a good use of the word other. When each other we sustain. I like that. It's important for us to be seen and heard and recognized. We have our name out in front of our building. Now, when I grew up, the Unitarian Universalist congregation I grew up in used to have a big downtown edifice, big stone building, the old Universalist church, and they moved out of it. They got too small for it. They sold it off. I don't know. I think they tore it down and put a library in that place. I forget what it was, but we moved out into the countryside. That was the thing to do, let's be out in the country. And so we were off on a side street that nobody ever drove past. But then the Unitarian Universalists in that congregation decided they needed to rename themselves. Instead of the Universalist Church of Danbury, which was short, they weren't in Danbury anymore, and they were Unitarians and Universalists, so they wanted to name themselves as the Unitarian Universalist Society of Northern Fairfield County, Connecticut. So that if anybody was to read the sign, which was only about this big, they had to, as they drove past, they had to read all these little things plus the service time, all squeezed into this little sign. And then, do you know what they did? They let the bushes grow up around the sign so that nobody would know who they were. Now, I think we need to be seen, I think we need to be heard, and I think as individuals we like when people see us and hear us. David Augsburger wrote a quote in a Soul Matters packet years ago during the pandemic. This quote was included in what we discussed. Being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person they're almost indistinguishable. Now keep that in mind. Being heard is almost like being loved. It's indistinguishable for us average folks. Why did I start this sermon about being othered? It's in part because of what just got enacted last month. And that was that in the military now, there have been over 100 religious groups that have been lumped into other now. Now, some of those groups had only just barely gotten on the list in 2017, where they upped the list from just over 100 religious groups being recognized to like 230 religious groups being recognized, thereabouts. For instance, I'm from Armenian heritage. My ancestors had long switched over to Armenian Protestantism, and the old pictures of them from the 1890s has the children all holding a book in those formal pictures, and that signified two things. One, they were literate, and two, that particular book was a Bible. So every person old enough to know how to read was holding that book. And that's Protestantism. We all, as Protestant descendants, got the idea that we could hold on to the Holy Word and interpret it as we wished, not just the priests. But the Armenian Apostolic Church, which predates Roman Catholicism, only just got named as a recognized thing in the Pentagon on the personnel records in 2017. And they just got eliminated. It's like they didn't even make it 10 years recognized and seen. It was with Armenian heritage, I am like incensed that this church, this way of being that predates the Roman Catholics isn't on the list anymore. They're lumped with us. They're others. So we can say, hey, Armenian Orthodox, I know we don't actually worship the same, but yay, others. Okay? Here's a statement from the Unitarian Universalist Association back in June regarding military chaplains and service members. We send our unwavering support for Unitarian Universalists in uniform and our UU military chaplains. We recently learned that the Department of Defense, well, now Department of War, has removed 180 separate religious affiliations from the U.S. military's list of affiliation codes. This eliminates the code for Unitarian Universalists as well as humanists, atheists, pagan traditions, and many others. Along with dozens of other religious traditions, UUs will be categorized broadly under other in military's religious affiliation codes. Please note, this decision does not directly impact the status of our UU military chaplains, who are authorized through separate faith-based endorsement process within the Unitarian Universalist Association. What it does mean is that the Unitarian Universalist service members will not be able to select their specific religious identity for their personnel records. This may make it more difficult for our uniformed Unitarian Universalists to access the spiritual care that they need. At this time, we're diligently working with our UUA Council and partners in a variety of faith traditions to craft a strategic response that faithfully represents our values and demonstrates clear support for our UU service members and their families, as well as all those who were impacted by this Department of Defense policy. We will share more information when it's available, but today we declare that no government action can erase our faith nor lessen the powerful and necessary grounding it provides for those who serve. Kind of like David Blanchard's thing about hospitals lumping us in others, now in the military, at least in the personnel records, although I've been told there's a nuance that there's space on dog tags. You can fill in what you want on your dog tag, but at least in the records, it's not going to be there. Now, to my knowledge, the first of our religious heritage to serve as a chaplain in the armed services was when George Washington signed the commission of Universalist Reverend John Murray to be a chaplain in the Continental Army in 1775. And we were, when the 2017 list was expanded to the couple hundred or so places, we were already on the list. Chaplains in the military were to help service people through some of the toughest times, through moments in life in which they needed to be heard. What was that quote I said before? Sometimes being listened to is the same thing as being loved, feeling the same. A chaplain being there for them. In the beginning, it was not a very diverse group other than the fact that John Murray got in because of George Washington. But it wasn't until the Mexican War that some Jesuit priests were appointed because there were so many Irish joining up with the army, for example. And then it wasn't until Abraham Lincoln that a Jewish rabbi was appointed, and then it wasn't officially including Jewish rabbis in any number until World War I. And then they decided there would be 3 designations that would be held, and that was you could be P for Protestant, C for Catholic, or H for Hebrew. And then it just started like, no, we need to have better designations, because you could have a high church Episcopalian needing to be served differently from a Baptist. And so being under P didn't really work. You needed to have, the chaplains needed to know more about you. And so it began to grow and grow and grow. Now, recognition in the military was, again, so that there would be people available to help listen to and serve the pastoral needs and the weekly religious needs of people in service. It didn't say that those were the only religions recognized in the United States at all. I mean, we had Muslims in this country during the Revolution. We had a whole Catholic colony of Maryland. We had a whole bunch of different groups here, and we do now. It was just in the military, in what ways do we figure out who we're serving and how to make that a little easier. Now, being othered means it makes it harder for the chaplain to know who they're coming to and what kinds of language to use with that person. Being othered may, in fact, which is the fear that I have, may in fact be part of a Christian nationalist movement to say only certain religions are the real religions of this country. And the others can go off by themselves privately, but not have room in the public space. Being othered means, if you are a trans person, maybe you don't get certain rights anymore. You can't choose how you go about your medical care the way someone who isn't othered gets to go about their own decision making. Maybe in the long run, this is an othering that is a wider societal problem. And from my Unitarian Universalist upbringing, but we're all of inherent worth and dignity. We all need to be included in the great sense of humanity. We all have rights. We all have value and worth. We all need to be listened to. So being othered is somewhat cautionary for us. I can understand the bureaucratic hassle of paying attention to 230 different religions. I can also understand the difficulty of reducing that to about 30-something and saying, this we understand. Like, why is it Unitarian Universalists who have been on the list since I don't know when aren't on it, but the Church of the Nazarene is? Why were certain decisions made? I don't know. I didn't research it. My apologies. Well enough to know why. But I do know that we are real and we are here and we're filled with people who, I'm sorry, Unitarian Universalists aren't usually, the religious leaders aren't usually called pastors. Do you know why we're not called pastors? Because you aren't sheep. Because you have, as Unitarian Universalists, a sense of finding your own way here and an independence of deciding whether you like what I say or don't like what I say in ways that are along the lines of generally Unitarian Universalists. It's like herding cats. Or if you get 12 Unitarian Universalists in a room and you ask them what Unitarian Universalism is, you get 13 answers. Okay? Because we are thriving on a sense that each of us has a way of learning and expressing our religious path. We're all othered. But we're othered in a way in which we lump it together and say, and we're here, and we see you, and we hear you. Well, that's my sermon to a group of herded cats who find out what works for you in a world in which I would hope our model of inclusion would make it better, whether they're serving in the military or just walking down the street at Brevard, in feeling as if we are not alone. We are not alien. We're heard and seen. All right, so our final hymn here. The words will be on the screen, and Doug's tried to put up music and words both for you. See that? If you can't see it from where you're sitting, like turn around, that's really huge behind you here. I can read it from here. But maybe this will help in us learning. And we're just going to dive in, Melissa. Let's give this a try. Together we are strong. Together we carry on. And together we believe the power of love. Together we are bold. As you go out into this world, know that we know you are here and we know you are one of us. As you go out into this world and you see others, claim them as part of your group. We might as well all be lumped together. Blessings on all of you.